Hi, today I want to tell you about 7 tips for health and happiness. For years, scientists have believed that happiness can affect physical health. But last year, a professor from the University of Utah decided to definitively answer this question. He analyzed 20 literature reviews and more than 150 individual studies. What happened? The scientist has almost no doubt that happiness and health are interrelated and mutually determining factors. And what can be done to make life happier and healthier? 7 tips. Sleep. It is well known that sleep helps the body to recover after a hard day. It is only when you are rested that you can focus properly and maintain productivity. However, sleep is extremely important for both happiness and good mood in general. The book NutriShock states that the negative events of the day are processed in the amygdala, the almond-shaped area of the brain, while positive and neutral events are processed in the hippocampus. Lack of sleep affects the latter much more. In order to make sure of this, a small experiment was carried out. The students who participated in it had to memorize a list of certain words. Some volunteers repeated as many as 81% of words with a negative connotation, for example cancer, disease, and only 31% with a positive or neutral one. Such results were due to the fact that some young people had not slept well. Sleep is one of the easiest ways to strengthen your immune system and ensure a good mood. Constant sleep mode, i.e. going to bed and getting up at the same time every day, should become a habit regardless of weekends or holidays. Emotional intelligence, unheard of concept? It's disappointing. Of course, many still emphasize mental abilities over emotional intelligence. But it is he who lays the foundations for health and happiness. Emotional intelligence consists of self-confidence, consistency in achieving set goals, flexibility, and adaptability. A lot of qualities. But psychologists pay attention to the fact that all of them can be developed, and if you have them, you can train them. You just need to remember to improve social skills, empathy, self-regulation, awareness, and most importantly, don't lose motivation. These are a kind of spices of life that will teach you to find balance and harmony everywhere with time. Developing emotional intelligence is not only important for feeling good. According to the American Psychological Association, one 75-year-old study found that emotional stability, which characterizes high emotional intelligence, is associated with longer life expectancy. By the way, representatives of the fairer sex participated in this experiment. Minute break. Turn off the TV, put the phone aside, disconnect from social networks. Sounds crazy, right? However, it is not wise to periodically check your work email when the weekend comes, while watching the children's performance in kindergarten to look at Instagram. Or post a picture of you in a new dress on Facebook after lying in bed. A busy schedule, used up vacations, not knowing how to rest properly, the most direct path to sadness and illness. It takes very little to break out of this routine. The magazine Applied Research in Quality of Life reports that planning and anticipating a vacation is the most enjoyable. Another study found that just thinking about watching your favorite movie in the evening increases endorphin production by 27%. Therefore, it is better to spend a minute's break not on something that is even more exhausting, but for real rest, or at least for planning it. Because it turns out that this also brings happiness. Say goodbye to sugar. Extra kilograms and an unsatisfactory image in the mirror spoil the mood. But fasting and diets usually do not improve it, and it is not always healthy. You don't need to limit yourself too much. Promise to fundamentally change your diet for Monday. Everything can be achieved in small steps. For example, cut out added sugar. One could talk about its threat to happiness and health. It should be emphasized that a small experiment described in the journal Personality and Social Psychology showed that sweets are far from suppressing stress. And that's exactly what women often justify the cake. Researchers have found that sugary snacks falsely increase energy levels, as about 2 hours later, her reserves are depleted even more. She even begins to suffer from fatigue and tension. So, starting Monday, you'd better promise yourself that you won't eat any delicacies during your coffee break at work. Favorite sport? the word sport may sound too threatening to those who have neither time nor motivation for this activity. Therefore, it is better to call it active physical activity. And it can be anything: dancing in a nightclub, stairs to the 7th floor, boxing, or Pilates training. After all, it's good to move. This is constantly repeated by scientists and proven by various studies. For example, a study published in the New York Times revealed that just 7 minutes a day is enough. Active physical activities if you want to feel positive results. An even more shocking experiment is presented in the book The Happiness Advantage. He showed that sport is the best tool to fight depression. During the study, the results of 3 groups were compared. They showed that depression recurred in only 9% of those who exercised, 38% of those who took medication, and 31% of those who both exercised and took medication. However, according to experts, the most important thing is to find what you really like and enjoy. Otherwise, it is not worth expecting good results. Drink enough water. I had to read about how important water is for the body and beauty more than once. But did it call for any change? It is too abstract to say that this liquid is necessary. So let the facts speak for themselves. Scientists have found that even mild dehydration, 1 to 3% of body weight, lowers energy, impairs mood, and impairs most brain functions, including memory. In 2012, a study published in the journal Nutrition also confirmed that the role of water is important. In an experiment, experts calculated that young women who lost 1.36% of their body fluids after exercise experienced mood swings, poorer concentration, and headaches. It is clear that water is very important, and its lack has a negative impact on both health and happiness. Control anxiety. Anxiety is another factor that very often prevents you from feeling well. There are more than one and more than 2 tips on how to deal with it. However, in order to curb it, one should first understand something. I.e., it is not necessary to constantly think about the worst option, to prepare for an unpleasant scenario. Because one thinks about plans A, B, and C, which may be needed if something goes wrong. What if there were an expression, in this case, becoming a kind of mantra these days, which only strengthens the concern even more? The truth is, it's foolish to worry about something that may never happen. And if it does, each situation can have a number of different variations, and no single plan will work. Therefore, it is best to look for ways to solve problems only when they actually occur. It is necessary to close the worry in a drawer and focus only on the present. Better not to worry, but to develop confidence, which will be much more valuable when an obstacle arises. Interesting. It has been established that the more time people spend on social networks, the less joy they experience, the lower their self-esteem, and the worse their connection with others. This is another reason why you should use less Facebook, Instagram, etc. Sometimes you can buy health, but not happiness. A study by Forbes magazine found that America's wealthy rated their life satisfaction at 5.8 out of 7. Members of the Pennsylvania Amish community, who don't have millions, had the same score. The benefits of coffee are constantly debated. However, enjoying 1 cup of this hot drink is really worth it. Because the researchers found that coffee encourages you to pay attention to positive words. Sometimes you just have to accept the situation. This is also confirmed in 2009. Research conducted at the University of Michigan. They showed that people who come to terms with their chronic illness feel happier than those who focus on treatment. A study published in the journal Psychosomatic Medicine revealed that individuals who experience more positive emotions are less likely to catch a cold. Happiness works like a painkiller. In 2005, a study involving women with arthritis was published in the journal Consulting and Clinical Psychology. It turned out that those who more often experience joy, enthusiasm, etc. happy emotions, less often complained of chronic pain. Thanks for listening. If you want to hear more, click subscribe and like.